watching the TCMMA podcast.
Yes! Yes!
What up, what up? This your boy Chris D checking in. This is a TC MMA podcast. And I had to remind myself. I said Chris Cross again last episode. It's Chris D. We're trying to move on from the nickname, right? And get back to the basics. So this your boy Chris D. We're checking in and we got a lot to talk about. UFC again this Saturday. It just seems like it just keeps rolling. We're on a long streak right now. I think still another month to go of fights, roughly 3 or 4 weeks before we finally get a break. And this past weekend, let's just begin there. This past weekend, you had some big fights, obviously, and some big wins, uh, especially when you look at the heavyweight division, like Vitor Petrino getting the win, Shamil Gaziev getting the finish. And, you know, anytime you win like that, you're going to make a splash in the UFC rankings, that's for sure. I mean, make no mistake about it. You got Gaziev winning, Vitor Petrino, who is going to be a guy that's going to be tough to beat in the heavyweight division because he's well rounded. Gaziev, on the other hand, 15-3, he's not quite in the UFC rankings just yet. But is the heavyweight division back? That's the main topic of discussion here before we get into this week's fight card, which is UFC Shanghai and all that goes with that. Vitor Petrino all the way up to number 8 in the division. So impressive. So let's just start to look at the top 10. Tom Aspinall, champ. Cyril Gane, 1. Volkov, 2. Pavlovich. Pereira is still in there. Who did Pereira beat in the heavyweight division to get ranked 4th? See, that's where the meta, let me just look at that. Now let me flip over to the UFC rankings. I guarantee, and Pereira is 3. No, that's light heavyweight. Yeah, under the old rankings, Pereira is not ranked. Okay? But under the meta rankings, Pereira is at 4. So I like the meta rankings better. So I can't, even though it's new, I can't go against it. All right, they got Pereira at 4. I'll have to live with it. Kuniev, Rizvan Kuniev, 5. Hoke at 6. Waldo Cortez Acosta, 7. I'd make the case that Petrino at number 8 could probably beat him. But from 7 or 8 all the way up, it's pretty deep now. The division is pretty deep, so it's working its way back. And I say that about some of these numbered fight cards too. You look at fight 7. You look at the 7th ranked fighter in the division. This isn't boxing as it got weak and you only knew who the final fight was. Like a lot of you know who the top 7 fighters are in each division, especially if I went through the names. You're like, oh yeah, I know them. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of that, but the 7th fighter, as you go around into some of these divisions, heavyweight, Trino and Waldo Cortez Acosta, that's a pretty deep division. Light heavyweight, you're looking at like Khalil Roundtree, Navajo Sterling, and Dominic Reyes. Now De Ritter got the win. He's in there. Wasn't ranked before. He's 9. So that division is getting tough. Gregory Rodriguez is up 3 spots in the middleweight division with his big main event win. So that division is beefing up. Then the welterweight to me is probably 1 or 2 right now. Bilal Muhammad at 7, but underneath him you still got Joaquin Buckley, Leon Edwards, Uros Medic, Usman. Forget about it. Lightweight, always ridiculous. You got Kalan Saul killed at 6, Moicano 7, Benoit Saint Denis 8. Then if you get into the featherweight, Pat Sabatini. Okay, so the featherweight's not quite as strong. Bantamweight, you got David Martinez. Song Yadong is at 6. He's on the card this week, taking on number 2, Nurmagomedov. So at least the bantamweight will be in prime time, even though it doesn't start in prime time. More of that on that in a minute. And then in the flyweight, Ramazan Temirov, uh, who's 12-1 right now. So some of these divisions are beefing up, but everybody wants to see the heavyweight get back on track, and I think right now it's headed that way. The likes of Curtis Blades are starting to fall away. Um, and then you got Anthony Wint, who just made his UFC debut the other day. He's going to be a good one. Shamil Gaziev, 15-3. He's going to be a good one. So the heavyweight division is uh, undergoing a resurgence, and fighting is so much better when the heavyweight division is stacked. And it's not stacked yet, but the heavyweight division is heading towards being stacked, and that's what we want. We want big, big heavyweight fights. So that's where that stands. Now, as we jump into, and in the coming weeks, we're going to get into UFC 331. We still got some time on that. You got UFC Paris around the corner. And of course, check us out at youtube.com/at TCMMA podcast to keep up with all the predictions. We post everything on YouTube, and then we sparingly post in other places, but YouTube is the home. And then Spotify is the home for mainly the podcast and the long form stuff. So you can find us in those locations, but you'll see us everywhere, man. Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, which goes to Facebook. So, in all those places you can find me at Chris D MMA on is it Twitter or TikTok? I think it's Twitter. It's Chris D _ MMA. Someone got my name, man, before I could get it. But it's all good. So you can find us in those places. Now let's jump into this week's card. UFC Shanghai, China. It's going down. Early wake up call, and that's probably because football is kicking off this weekend. So the UFC schedules the right way around football. And that's why in January you only have like 2 fights, and there's a big delay between December and January, like 3 or 4 weeks off. And that's because the playoffs and the college football championships and all that's heating up. The UFC isn't crazy, So if you're going to take off, those are the times to take off. But at the top uh, of the list here, Umar Nurmagomedov or Song Yadong in the bantamweight division. So obviously that's going to be a huge fight, co-main event, and really the women don't get enough respect a lot of times, but this fight's going to be awesome. Yan Xiaonan versus Denise Gomes. We got that prediction coming for you. Fight 3, Kalang versus Kaya Sakura. That fight's not getting enough respect. Alex Perez, Sue Mudarji in the flyweight, light heavyweight. You got a pair of fighters in Liu versus Junior Tafa. And then things get interesting here at the bottom of the main card, flyweight division. Bill Hassan, like Anthony Wint last week, just fought at the Contender Series. He's back. He's undefeated at 9-0, but his opponent, Nilson Rojas, 9-0 also. So we got to get into that fight and the full prediction. We'll also get into Batbayar and Lima in the flyweight division. So the flyweight division, if you didn't know, is going crazy right now. And as long as Joshua Van is at the top, I feel like this division is stacked. If he falls to Pantoja, it, it just won't be good. So that fight is huge when we get there. And for the sake of the division, we need a young guy to remain at the top. Make no mistake about it. Then in the featherweight, you got Jack Jenkins, Sean Woodson. You got Xiao Long versus Francesco Nuzzi in the bantamweight. And then, a host of other fights, as you can see there, beginning the night with Ding Meng versus Cameron Nelson. So that's going to, anytime you see China on the board, Ding Meng, Jinnang Jiang, Zhao Long, okay? You got all these fighters from China, Si Liu, Aori Kalang, right? Uh, Yan Xiaonan, and then Song Yadong. Those fighters are going to be the home crowd favorites, heavily supported by the Shanghai crowd. So you can expect that. You can expect that throughout this night for them, morning for us at UFC Shanghai. So China, and it's always wild when it's in China. I mean, the anytime they go anywhere, it's crazy, but in China, it's phenomenal, and you can expect a fired up crowd for this one. Now we're going to begin as we jump into these break down some of these predictions. We got 4 fights for you. We're going to begin with probably one of the best fights on the card outside the main event, and that's Bilal Hassan, excuse me, versus Nilson Rojas. Hassan just fighting at the Contender Series. He's undefeated at 9-0. Rojas undefeated, so we got no choice but to begin here. Let's jump into this one right now. Oh, and it didn't come up. We'll pull it up though. 2 weeks in a row we're having problems. We got to fire somebody. Here we go. In the flyweight division at UFC Shanghai, you got Bilal Hassan taking on Nilson Rojas. So Bilal Hassan, like Anthony Went, uh, fighting the week before, both of these guys just came from the Contender Series. I mean, literally a week or two ago. So we see Bilal Hassan gets a quick fight here in the UFC. He's 9-0. Rojas also 9-0. Indonesia versus Chile in this one. Hassan, 2 inches taller, 5'7". He's 25. Rojas 27. He's making his debut. Hassan, 70-inch reach, switch stance fighter. In his first fight, he landed 28 significant strikes per minute. That's his average right now. So obviously those are inflated. But he KO'd Radul Saikia by first round KO in 45 seconds, 21-3 in significant strikes. So this dude is for real, right? Huge favorite on that Contender Series card. But Rojas, on the other hand, 9 wins, 7 KOs. So you got 2 strikers going at it. So we really don't know what to expect from Rojas. He's 9-0, but he's fighting at a very small promotions. Open fight, Chile, open fight, LATAM, FFC 94, Inca. So small promotion. So I mean, it doesn't mean he's not good. It just means that we don't, we can't gauge him on the level of Hassan. We just know Hassan is really good. So obviously I'm going to go with Hassan here. After seeing what we saw at the Contender Series, it's very hard to think anybody outside the top 10 can beat this guy right now. That's the way it looks. I got no choice but to go with Hassan here to get the KO, to move to 10-0, in my opinion, flyweight division, UFC Shanghai. Yeah, the UFC knows what it's doing, right? They want to bring these Contender Series fighters along. It's almost like a souped up Contender Series fight. Hassan is expected to win. It doesn't mean they're always going to win though. But it's like if Hassan doesn't win, he's in the UFC. Now you got to get Rojas in the UFC, which wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing. But the goal is for Hassan to come out of this thing undefeated, and you bring in a guy that hasn't fought in the UFC yet either, and it gives him the best chance to be successful. But that's a long way to go when you're going from Vegas just a week and a half ago. Now you're going all the way to Shanghai for a fight night, and your hours are going to be flipped upside down and all that stuff. So, you know, but he's young and he can do it. And if he's going to do something like that, now's the time to do it. Then he'll get several months off to get ready for a bigger fight. So Bilal Hassan, we got him winning, just like we had Anthony Went winning last week. Now, as we move up, well, not even move up, we're actually going backwards to the prelim main event. There's a lot of fights we could have chose this week. We went with 4. This is the second one. You got Namzrai Batbayar from Mongolia taking on the Brazilian Andre Lima. This is 9-1 versus 11-1. And when I see Brazil, it gets me excited because I always say, don't invite Brazil to the party. It doesn't always end well when you do that. Let's jump into this one right now. In the flyweight division at UFC Shanghai, you got Namzrai Batbayar taking on Andre Lima. So this is 9-1 versus 11-1. Mongolia versus Brazil. Let's go. The Brazilian Lima, 3 inches taller, 5'7". He's 27. Batbayar, 25. Equal reach for both guys. Both guys stand right-handed. Batbayar, 4.4 significant strikes per minute. Lima, 3.9. Batbayar, 2.9. Well, roughly 1 takedown per round. He's right there on that average. Lima gets 1 every 3, so takedown defense will be important. And for Bat by R right now, he's at 100%, not giving up any. Lima, on the other hand, about 85%, so that's pretty good. So Lima will be able to stop takedowns. Bat by R has an advantage on the feet, but those stats are coming from road to UFC, not against, traditional UFC opponents. He's winning. He won all 3, right, in the lead up to the title, road to UFC title, which he won on May 29, 2026 by KOing Yin Shuai. Before that, he won by sub in 2025. That was road to UFC 4 and won by KO in May of 2025. So fought twice in May and August of 2025. Now he's fighting again in May and August of 2026. So, I'm sure he's excited for this opportunity. But Lima, uh, on the other hand, uh, again, 11-1, it's ridiculous. And he's actually got a 75% takedown defense. I told you 85. I was looking at Felipe Lima, so I got it up correct now. He's coming off the loss to Kevin Borjas by decision, but before that, he was tearing it up. I mean, he won his first 5 fights in the UFC, coming through the Contender Series, beating the likes of Igor Severino, Mitro Poso, Felipe dos Santos, and Daniel Perez, whom he submitted. So he's fighting at a high level. This is a tricky one because we don't know how good Bat by R is yet, right? Because he's not fighting UFC fighters. We know that he's earned the right to get to this fight. We know that he's pretty darn good, but I'm not ready to go against a Brazilian yet. This guy's beating UFC fighters. He comes in and he wins his first 5 straight. 4 of those at the UFC level. I just don't see Bat by R ready to come in and do the same thing, but you never know, right? I probably wouldn't have said that about Andre Lima after the Contender Series either, right? Fought well, looked good, but now you're going to start coming in and beating UFC guys. It's hard to believe it until you see it. And if Bat by R comes in here and destroys Lima, we might be singing a different tune in his next fight. But right now, we got to go with Brazil in this one, despite the numbers. But the numbers aren't comparable because Lima's fighting UFC fighters. So I like him to get the job done to move to 12-1, likely by decision, because I have a feeling Bat by R is going to be pretty good. This will go to a decision, in my opinion, here. Flyweight division, UFC Shanghai. Yeah, so again, man, when you see Brazil fight, and you got to take it serious. 80% of the time. There's still going to be some fighters that aren't great that are probably going to lose, but when you see Brazil, I take them all serious. But when I see Brazil, I think before I go against Brazil. I still go against Brazil, which you saw last week. I went against Brazil both times. And sometimes it works, sometimes you pay for it. But in this one, I just like Andre Lima to get the job done and then move on. Now, as we work our way into the co-main event, the women don't always get love, but we're giving them love on the show today because the co-main event is the co-main for a reason. Big women's strawweight division fight. Here we go again. This time China versus Brazil. Yan Xiaonan versus Denise Gomes. Both very good fighters. I mean, they're both very good. And when you look at the rankings, because we didn't cover that in the prediction, it's basically 4 versus 9. 4 versus 9. So this is going to be an excellent fight to watch. Let's get into it right now. In the women's strawweight division, your co-main event at UFC Shanghai. You got Yan Xiaonan from China coming in at 19-5, taking on the Brazilian Denise Gomes 12-3. Now Yan 3 inches taller at 5'5". She's 37. Gomes 26. Equal reach. Both stand right-handed. Both around 4.5 significant strikes per minute. There's a little difference there, but it's close enough to where it's almost even. Gomes lands a takedown every other round. Yan gets one every 3. So Gomes got a slight edge on the ground in terms of the amount of takedowns landed, not necessarily on the ground. Now Yan's 64% takedown defense, Gomes 66. So those are both hovering around the UFC average. Now, Jan lost to Verna Jandiroba by decision. Zhang Weili decision. Both of those fights, she gave up 9 takedowns versus landing 3. And got dominated on the feet against Zhang Weili, but not against Jandiroba. Jandiroba just won with the takedown game. She did beat Tabitha Ricci 78-15 on the feet. So when she's not getting taken down, she's outstriking her opponents, and that's really what you see. When she outstrikes her opponent, she wins. Except for the last fight against Verna. So Denise Gomes in her last fight beat Tisha Pennington, 3 takedowns to 1 decision. Beat Elise Reed, 3 takedowns to none KO. Carolina Kowalkiewicz beat her basically on the feet. So the strike game is going to be an important one to watch. They can both strike, probably advantage Jan just a little bit. Takedown game, slight edge to Gomes, but if Jan, so what it comes down to is Gomes has got to take her down, has got to take down Jan enough to where the significant strike difference isn't too much. So if you're looking at like 30-25 and you got 3 or 4 takedowns, you're winning the fight. But if you get 2 or 3 takedowns and you're looking at the strikes in favor of Jan like 70-35, that's going to be enough to still give Jan the victory. So that's the game that's being played here. What it comes down to is Jan wants to strike and take big lead in that area. Denise Gomes wants to close that gap and land takedowns. And I think she's going to be able to do that. I think it's going to be a tough night for Shanghai, at least in this one. I like the Brazilian Denise Gomes to get the job done, land takedowns, move to 13-3, and win in a very, very tough environment. Big fight for her. Jan is really good, but in my opinion, Denise Gomes pulls it out to move to 13-3. Women's strawweight division, UFC Shanghai. Yeah, and in the women's strawweight division, the Brazilians are not to be played with. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, you got Jandiroba up there. You got just a host of them from Brazil. And then it's even worse in the bantamweight division. So I feel like we're taking a chance on that one. Jan fighting at home, it's like she's got to win, right? But we're still going with Brazil in that fight. That's how we see it. Let's go Gomes. We need the victory. Now in the main event, we were wrong last week with Gregory Rodriguez. I think we're back to 15-14. Although I got a little confusion there. I'm going to go back and go through all the fights this year, make sure there's 29 fights, but we're right there at 1 fight above 500. So another critical week. And in this one, you got Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Song Yadong. Yadong will be the home crowd favorite, and it will be an excellent fight to watch. Kicking off, this thing will go down at probably 8:30 in the morning. I mean, you might not even be out of bed yet, and this fight is going to be over. So let's dive into this pick right now. In the bantamweight division, your main event at UFC Shanghai, you got Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Song Yadong. And oh my goodness, this fight is going to be huge. Umar, 20-1 from Russia. Song Yadong, 23-9. Both guys stand 5'8". Song is 28, Umar 30. Umar 2-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Now on the feet, Yadong's got a slight edge, 4.3 significant strikes per minute to 3.9 for Umar. But takedown game, Umar is strong there, right? Over 1 takedown per round on average. Yadong less than 1 every 3 rounds. And Umar's nearly 80% takedown defense. Song not bad at 73, but he's going to need probably 90% in this fight if he's going to be successful or dominate the feet and not have to defend too many takedowns. Umar's coming off the win over Davison Figueiredo by decision. 2 takedowns to none, held Davison Figueiredo to 8 significant strikes the whole fight. Okay, think about that. Beat Mario Bautista, had 11 takedowns to none. Oh my goodness. Now he lost to Merab, but that's because Merab can land takedowns too, as we've seen, or he'll go for a lot. I mean, I think in one fight he went for over 20 takedowns. Tempted. But Merab led that one 7-2 on takedowns, got the unanimous decision. But that should let you know that Umar's fighting at a very high level. Now, Yadong beat Davis and Figueiredo as well, submitted him. Whoa, 24-9 in significant strikes. He lost to Sean O'Malley, but had 3 takedowns, beat Henry Cejudo, mainly on the feet, lost to Piotr Jan. So, thing about Song is he's only losing to fighters that are really, really good. So this fight right here is a huge main event that's going to be fun to watch. This is almost a numbered event, top 3. All right. But I got to lean with Umar Nurmagomedov, even on the road. I think the takedown game is too strong. The takedown defense is too good. The strike game is very close. Now, it doesn't mean Song can't land something early, but over the long haul, I like Umar to shut him down over 2 rounds minimum to move to 21-1 by decision. That's my opinion. Bantamweight division, UFC Shanghai. Yeah, so I mean, it's just these fights are tough to predict, man. But that's the way we're going to go there. I mean, I expect China to be loud. I expect this to be a battle, but I'm hoping someone gets finished. I do not want to see another main event go to a decision, especially when you have these cards where you're getting all these finishes. And at least the decision main events lately have been really good, but we'd love to see a finish here one way or the other. And I don't want to be wrong, but I do want to see a finish just as bad. So that's the way we got it going. And we'll be 15-15 or 16-14. So one sounds better than the other, that's for sure. But listen, we got to wrap this thing up. Next week we got UFC Paris and then 331 around the corner. So we're getting there. We are getting there. Big things coming over the next few weeks. Till next time, this your boy Chris Cross. Oh, Chris D. This your boy Chris D. We'll catch you next time. God bless. Peace.